This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome to the Human-Animal Connection Show, where we believe we can communicate with all animals. Join us as we explore the 33 principles and healing methods of the human-animal connection. As animal lovers, we know that you share our commitment to making the world a kinder place for all creatures. Together, let's embrace the transformative healing power of the human-animal connection.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Human-Animal Connection Show. I'm your host, the luckiest guy in town, Michael Overly, and I'm with the amazing Jeannie Joseph, and we've got an amazing topic for you today.
We do. We're going to be talking about rhythm, timing, and distance in the animal world and how they use these elements to stay in sync, how it helps them to be in sync with the natural world and how it can help us too. So we're going to be talking about how important these three elements are working with animals. So whether you're volunteering at a shelter and working with dogs that have had trauma or adversity, or your own dogs, or just wanting to tune up your own life, I think you'll find this show fun.
Well, and useful. I mean,
useful.
Yeah, we've lost, most of us have lost touch with the natural rhythms of life, I feel.
Right.
And we touched on some of it in the last episode about time and a relationship with time. And we don't flow with how the year rolls and the seasons and the changing of the lighting and weather. We think we can control everything, I guess, is the simplest way to put it.
Yeah. Well, animals, they live in sync with nature. And when we domesticated the animals, in some ways, we deprived them of some of the touchstones of those rhythms. And so we have to really look at that. What are the ways that which we need to help animals restore their natural sense of rhythm and timing, and to work with that with ourselves and in partnership with them. I pay a lot of attention to their desire to be outside and play and romp, and their desire to be inside and nap, as they're doing right now, as you can see. The little dog in the very big bed and the very big dog in the very little bed, which you can't see on screen. But anyway, that's what's going on in this room right now. And so they have, they stay, if possible, they stay very attuned to their natural desires. Like what do they want now? Do they want to eat? Do they want to play? Do they want to potty? Do they want to sleep? What is it that they need? And as humans, if they're living in our life cycles, sometimes they can get a little divorced from how they would like to do things. So we need to make sure that we're paying attention to some of their natural rhythms and to follow along suit, because it's good for us too, to get up at a certain time and go to bed early and things that they like to do. So they can help us.
Absolutely. I love when Indigo wants to just go outside and lay in the sun.
Yeah.
Right. And it reminds me to just slow down a little bit. I don't have to do everything today.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And in nature, everything is moving to a rhythm, whether it's the night and day or the seasons or whatever it is. And it's just, everything is just in balance with itself, except when we have climate change, of course, things get out of balance. But in its natural state, there would be a natural rhythm that just is. And as humans, it's sort of fun to be in nature because we need to pay attention to that. It matters if it's getting dark, do we have a place to sleep or whatever? We have to pay more attention when we're in a natural situation. So, yeah. So animals can help us find our way back to natural rhythms. Not that we're going to live like animals, but there are some elements, like you said, when Indigo, it's time for her to lay in the sun. Maybe it's time for you to do a couple of deep breaths, or just to pause, or walk around, or just stare at the sun, or sit in the sun with her, or something like this. It's going to be different for everybody. We can't always do what they're going to do, but just to consider the possibility that rhythm is important. And it's interesting because the Americans, I guess worldwide, there's a sleep crisis. People are not sleeping well. They're not getting enough sleep. It's a whole mess. In fact, the CDC has said that 1 in 3 is having sleep disturbances, either not getting enough sleep, having trouble going to sleep, having trouble staying asleep. And this is part because we're very isolated from the natural cycles. We're indoors and temperature controlled, and we're not being affected by the changes in nature.
Yeah, I didn't know it was 1 in 3. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. That's all. I mean, I think a U.S. study, but I don't think that's different for much of the rest of the world. There's a real sleep crisis, there's a real epidemic of sleep. And it's interesting, in the military, they used to have this idea that soldiers should learn to do without sleep, and they would wake them up every 2 hours and send them on missions. And it was a big thing to be able to say, oh, I only need 4 hours of sleep or whatever it is. And they came to understand that this was all wrong, that this was not good for the body. It was not good for performance. It was actually counterproductive to their number one goal, which was good performance. And they began saying to the soldiers, sleep 7 or 8 hours. And they began to, they changed some of their training systems. And I was working with the military during this transition, and signs all over the place, sleep 7 or 8 hours. And it was such a revolutionary thing to say for the military, who had put such an emphasis on being Superman and not needing to sleep. And then they realized that they were harming the well-being of the force by doing this. And so there became this whole campaign of sleeping. So if the military says they wanted all this productivity out of their soldiers, they thought if they could keep them up for 18 hours or whatever it was, that they were going to get more out of them. And they found out they were getting less out of them. So it's time for us to realize that we need to sleep. And if you pay attention to the dogs, of course, the dogs are very domesticated. They're in our lifestyles, and here we're in the desert. They can go out and romp pretty much at will, but they spend a lot of time napping. As you can see right behind me, Lucy, a little desert dog, is in Lulu's bed sleeping away. And so there's a lot to be said for that. And we can learn from watching the rhythms of animals. When we speak about rhythm, it's interesting. We used to think that humans, of course, we always have this idea that humans are the only ones that can do X, Y, Z. We think we're the superior species and all this nonsense. And we're finding out that there are a lot of animals that actually have musical rhythm, appreciate music, and respond to music. Like they have these doggy dancing contests, and the people who win these contests, they do these little dances with their dogs. They're fun and silly, but these are very, very bonded relationships, and these people spend a lot of time really working with their dogs. But they will tell you that you can't just pick a piece of music and expect the dog to perform, that they have certain pieces of music that they love, certain pieces of music they don't like at all, and some that they're neutral. And it always works better when you pick a piece of music that the dog responds to. So this is an interesting thing. And you've probably seen that video of the cockatoo dancing to one of those songs, all these different dance moves. And somebody actually did a study and analyzed those dance moves, and they're all like 17 unique moves that this bird is doing untaught, which is kind of fun. And there's I forget what it is. I think it's a seal bopping to some 70s music, which is pretty fun. And, there's an elephant's responding to music. So it's an interesting thing to think that rhythm is not a human thing specifically. It's something that as animals, we're animals and we appreciate it, but the other animals can enjoy that also.
I've seen a video of a guy with his golden retriever in I think it was maybe a store.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, cha-cha, rumba, spinning, twirling. It was amazing. And I had no idea. I mean, how does this golden stay on his hind legs for so long?
Right.
And it was fantastic.
Yeah. It's really fun to see some of those, as long as it's done humanely. But usually those are people who have a tremendous love and bond with their dogs who do that kind of training. But it's fun. It's fun to see them really enjoy that.
So are you going to start teaching a doggy dancing class?
I don't think so. I don't think, Sophia likes to spin. She'll do that fun spin. So she enjoys that, but she's not one for following a routine. Let's put it that way. But I admire people I've seen some of those doggy dancing things. It's a Chihuahua doing, really like the great little salsa rhythm on his hind legs. And so not all dogs are going to enjoy that, but the ones that do seem to have a really good time.
Oh, fun.
It's a competitive sport. It's doggy dancing. And I want to talk a little bit about distance too, because distance is such an important thing when we're working with shelter dogs who've had some trauma. There is we say in the human animal connection, there's a perfect distance for every interaction. So that doesn't mean that, you should always be 3 feet away or 6 feet away. It means that every specific dog in every specific environment with every specific person is going to have a preference for what they want in terms of the sense of distance with the person. And that's something to really pay attention to. And even with your dogs at home, you'll find sometimes they want to be like Lulu. The dog we're fostering had a lot of behavioral issues. And in the beginning, she had to be right next to me. I mean, literally having contact. And now she's, 6 feet away from me, laying in the corner there, which is great because that's a sign that she has more confidence, that she still wants to be close and she still wants that touch, but she can spend a lot more time with independent space. And so this is a way for me to calibrate how her nervous system is doing, is how she's using space. And now she has more flexibility with space than she had in the beginning. And so, have you noticed that with Indigo, that certain things, if things get too close, will be stressful for her? Or what have you noticed?
Yeah, absolutely. And similar to Lulu, when Indy first came, she was clingy, right? And just wanted to be with you, be in contact with you, leaning against you, laying on you. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, hey, where's Indigo?
Right, exactly.
She's like, I'm going to go in this room and take a nap,
Right.
And I think that is so healthy for her to be able to make that choice for herself. Right. And, sometimes I'll just go look for her. I'm like, oh, there she is. And then, but leave her alone, right? Give her her space because that she chose to go do that thing. And, other times I'm like, oh, I want some attention from my dog. Where is she? But I've learned to be more patient and give her that space too. Yeah. But, when we're out with the other dogs in the area, depending on if we're behind them or walking towards another dog, like face-to-face type of situation, or behind a fence. Mm-hmm. Right? Perfect example, my neighbor's dog, she's got a Black Shepherd mix, female, and they're both very strong personalities. Mm-hmm. So it took us a while before we could actually just walk them together. Yeah. And now they're fine, right? Yeah. So we'll go for a walk. We take our dogs, go for a walk. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. But if we're over by this school, we do this little loop in the mornings, and if we're over by the school and this other dog is inside the schoolyard and we're near the fence at all, she comes flying and aggressive and snarling and barking and pawing at the grass. It's wild. Wild. Yeah. So when I see her inside the schoolyard, I move further from the fence. Right. Great. Excellent. But excellent. It's fascinating, right? It's fascinating. Yeah. So they know each other really well. Right. We live next door, but when there's this one fence, this dog goes ballistic. Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting how that is. And just understanding that allows you to adjust and interpret it correctly and make the adjustments so that things continue to be smooth. So it makes a huge difference. And even culturally, there are some cultures that like a lot of distance and some cultures that like a lot of closeness. Like I lived in Hawaii for 25 years and there was a lot of Asian people. And if you had to stand in line, the Asian people would stand very close. I mean, like literally, like you could feel their breath kind of close. And for me, that was like, I didn't like it. It's not a Western thing to do. Western, we have a 18-inch 3-foot rule. Yeah, right. Like, yeah, we need that space. And if anybody gets in closer, it jangles our nervous system, and in the Asian culture, it actually relaxes them to be like because they're used to they have more experiences of being in situations where people are very closely lined up. They do a lot of lining up. So for them, it's absolutely normal. But it's really interesting when you're in line at a bank or a post office, someplace you don't want to be or whatever, and somebody's too close, it really jars us. And so it does something primal to the nervous system when people violate what we feel is our sense of space. Yeah. Have you felt that? Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, we rode our bikes to the farmer's market last weekend. And we were, walking around and checking all everybody's stuff and the wares. And at one point, the traffic stopped moving. People stopped walking. And they were just, it was a big group of people was looking at this. And it just became packed from both directions. And then I felt, yes. And I'm like, Dana, I got to move. Yeah. And I just felt really uncomfortable because I literally, I couldn't go left, right, forward, or back. Yes. Yeah. So I'm like, excuse me. And, kind of pushed past somebody. And I was like, So that was really interesting because I need room because of my nervous system. I'm like, whoa, okay, in my space, not invited. Yeah. Right.
strangers, right? Maybe Dana could be close to you and it's not going to trigger that same response as long as you guys are in sync. But if you guys get out of sync, then you're going to need more space, and this is something that people who are living together need to be aware of each other's sense of space. And when sometimes it's fine to have no space and sometimes there's a need for more space, and it's a fluid thing. It's not always a fixed thing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like we don't always hang out in the same room when we're home together. We in the morning we start hanging out together, right? Sipping coffee, holding hands. It's really nice. But then we split off and we go to different rooms and do our own things. And even later in the day, same thing. Maybe we'll hang out together, but maybe we won't, and that's okay. Right? There's no pressure to do that.
Yeah.
And it has to be fluid because we're going to feel different at different times of the day.
Right.
So, but having that space is fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. It makes everything smoother when we recognize what our animals need, what we need with our partners or people who share space with us. And this makes cubicle life kind of difficult because sometimes you have no control over proximity and smell and sound. Somebody else's sound is in your space. It's hard. It's in modern society, there's not a lot of respect for space. I used to live in New York City and rode the subways every day to work, and you're sardined in there, all kinds of smells and tastes and touch. And it's just, it's hard. It's hard to have that. And now I'm so grateful to have the space that I have, which is living in this country here in the desert. So it's very peaceful and nice. Yeah, very, very nice. So should we take a little break?
Yeah, let's take a break, folks. We will be back here in just a minute.
Hey friends, if you like what you're hearing and want to learn more, check out Dr. Joseph's book, The Human-Animal Connection, Deepening Relationships with Animals and Ourselves. Or visit the website, thehumananimalconnection.org, to book an online consultation. Thank you for loving animals. Now back to the show.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Hey folks, welcome back. We are excited to keep talking about this. We wanted to continue talking about distance because this is such an important topic.
Yeah.
Like right now, Jeannie's got 4 dogs in her house, right? So that's got to be, maybe tense at times. There's competition for space or desire for space. So tell us more about that.
Well, in the beginning, Lulu, the dog that we're fostering from the shelter, she had an enormous amount of issues. And so the first night was insane, but after that, because we are using some of our human-animal connection healing techniques and recognizing these different dynamics and taking good care so that she can begin to navigate this for herself. So we've made considerable progress. There are still some hot buttons, like when I leave is a hot button, or somebody comes to the door is a hot button. But as far as space, they are able to be all 4 dogs in the same small room, the same, in all together. And they also are able to be on their own. So I've got in the room right next to this door, there, one dog on the bed, my bed, another dog in her bed. And then I've got in this room 2 dogs in their bed. So they know, well, it's interesting because 2 of the dogs, the new ones, are not quite as good at respecting distance as dogs would like. So Lulu, for example, has no good sense of space. She thinks she's a little puppy and she's 56 pounds. And so she will be in my way a lot, standing in front of me to keep me from moving forward. She doesn't want me to leave. And also with the other dogs, she'll be in their butts too long. She doesn't get it about space, but they have all accepted that about her, and the tolerance level from the other dogs has gone up, and her ability to read has gone up a little bit too. So they've all kind of changed a little bit of their routines to accommodate the one who's not so skilled at reading the signals. Because the 2 dogs that were living together doing really well, completely versed at who wants attention, who doesn't, and they give each other space all the time, and they only come together when there's a human that's giving treats or giving love, and then they're all close in a pack, which is fun. It's really fun to see that because they're all really comfortable with that. So 2 of them reading very well, and 2 of them needing more to learn. So Lucy, this little one in the bed here, being a reservation dog, she didn't get a lot of human attention. So she's almost desperate. So if I'm petting Sophia, she will literally shove her nose into my hand and break up so then I have to go one hand on Sophia, one hand on Lucy, keep it fair. Because remember, animals love fairness. That's very, very important to them, to feel that sense of fairness. As they get more comfortable and trusting that there's enough to go around, they can relax a little if one gets a little more attention than the other. But it's very interesting to watch the balance. And when we had 3 dogs here, it was really interesting to just keep noticing how they would often triangulate. So one dog, like if you look at a triangle, one dog would be at the base, another dog at the other base, and the third dog at the top. Wherever they were in the room, you could literally draw a triangle. It was so interesting. We're not quite sure what that means, or maybe it's just you could draw a triangle between any 3 dogs. I don't know, but it seems more deliberate on their part. And I'm talking about maybe 5-6 space in between each other. It's not like they're close, but they triangulate a lot, and I just find that interesting.
No, it's really interesting.
It really is. I have to. Yeah. I mean, it takes dogs that are comfortable to do that, that can just choose their space and lay down and see, are they in a triangle? I don't know what it means, if it means anything, but it's certainly interesting for us to notice, because every time we notice, we go, oh, look at the triangle. It's like a pause for us. And we go, look how they put themselves in this perfect triangle. So I don't know if there's something sacred about that positioning to be in that triangle, or just feels good, or it's safe. I see it in the shelter dogs too, that know each other. So it's an interesting phenomenon.
I didn't know that. I'll definitely pay attention to that.
Yeah. And if our viewers can send us their comments, if they've seen that, or if they have any theories about what it means, I don't want to jump to any conclusions about what it means, because I'm just observing it. So yeah, it's really fun. Really fun. Yeah.
Well, and the safety is a big piece of it, right? Huge.
Safety and distance are like peanut butter and jelly. Yeah. They go together. It's if you violate a sense of the person's sense of space or safe distance, you're going to get a feeling of unsafety. If you respect the sense of space that the person desires, you're going to create safety. And that's the same with animals. So if you're doing shelter volunteering, working with dogs you don't know, you want to really pay attention, and if possible, let them choose the distance. What's the perfect distance for them? So what I do is I get myself in a position where I can be completely still. And if I'm in a yard with a dog at the shelter, for example, I'll be completely still and let them weave in and out. So they'll come and get a little love or attention, and then they wander off and do something. And then they come back and get a little attention and wander off. And that rhythm is fascinating. I'll start to see, there's a cycle. Every 7 minutes, this dog needs attention, or every 70 seconds, or every 7 seconds, this dog needs attention. There's a rhythm. And when I work with a dog over time at the shelter, I can see that change. I can see how, like I was mentioning with Lulu, or you said with Indigo, at first needing to be in constant contact or in visual line or touch line. And now the dog can be in the other room and be perfectly peaceful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one for people who've got maybe a reactive dog is giving your dog more distance when meeting new people and new dogs.
Exactly right.
Right.
Exactly right.
Sometimes we'll meet just a human on a walk, and they're like, "Oh, can I pet your dog?" I'm like, "Whoa.
Yeah.
Back off."
Yeah.
If you want to say hi, we can do that, but I need you to do 3 things. I need you to stop, look at me, and stand still.
Right.
And let her come to you. Right.
Yeah.
So
perfect. And that's our job, on the walks. We have to make sure that, because we don't want them having experiences that are scary or stressful for them, because then we have to deal with that. That's really great that you advocate for your dog. When we do therapy dog work, and these are dogs that are trained and are very comfortable with a lot of attention, but we constantly have to say, hey, I think her favorite spot is over here. Don't go, don't touch her ears, or don't touch her paws. Or, people, especially young people, will just do all the things that dogs don't like, come overhead or touch their tails or their toes or these things. And so, we have to constantly advocate when we're out on a walk, because people, they want to be nice, and they think, oh, your dog is so pretty, you're so cute, and they want to have contact, but that's not necessarily what your dog wants. And it's our job to make sure that distance works for the dog, that timing works for the dog. Like you say, stop, stay, look at me, don't look at the dog. Those things make a huge difference in making sure that interaction goes really well. And then it becomes a good experience for the dog and the person. And the last thing we need is an experience that's not good for anybody, right? We don't want that.
People who like elderly, people who move differently, literally physically as they walk, they move, they might be able to move differently. And, sometimes the dogs are uncomfortable with that. It's like, whoa, what's going on there? Because it's not the same normal pattern we see everybody else walking around in.
Yeah, huge issue. In the therapy dog test, that's one of the things that we do is we simulate, we walk in weird ways, we make weird noises, we stomp, we growl, we do weird things, make sure that the dogs can go, oh, okay, that's not just a weird person, nothing. But this will be true, is that you'll see dogs reacting to people who have different ambulation or different patterns or things like that. That happens a lot. Yeah.
So they might need more distance.
Exactly. Yeah. Because when we violate an animal's sense of proper space for that moment, for that interaction, and it's all circumstantial. So for example, there might be a situation where you can approach the dog and do anything and they'll be fine. But in another environment, that touch or that speed or that distance may not be fine. So it's the whole picture. It's the whole ecosystem of how's the dog feeling? Where is the dog? Does the dog have an escape route? What's interesting is one of the challenges with Lulu is with people coming to the door. When men come to the door, they're just going to get the bark treatment, right? When women come to the door, she wants at them, but she wants to jump on them and all these things we're working on that, but because it's almost like she wants to merge with the woman. Like, who are you, my long lost friend? And this is a stranger I'm talking about. So we are working our way through the doorway issues. It's going to be a little while, but that's what fostering is all about, is doing this work and helping. Hopefully at some point there'll be a wonderful person who loves her because she's just a magnificent dog. It just has a ways to go. Yeah.
Well, they're all magnificent. I think we get caught in the trap that, my dog needs to be like this dog or behave like that person's dog. And they're like people in that way. They've had their own experiences, good or bad, energetically, they're soft, they're hard, whatever it is. And we need to learn how to read them and give them what they actually need.
That's right. And in our next episode, we're going to be really talking about balancing, what dogs need to feel balanced, and what are these different elements. So what one dog needs is the exact opposite of what the next dog needs, and so we want to help people understand if their dog's an introvert or an extrovert. Those dogs need different kinds of guidance in experiences and new situations, and other dogs, you can just trust them that they're going to be fine in whatever new thing comes their way, but that's not true for all dogs. So that's what we'll be talking about.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Great. Well, it's been wonderful to be with you, and I hope our listeners will tune in again and that we'll see you next time. So we'll say aloha for now.
Thank you all. Aloha for now.
Thank you for tuning in to the Human Animal Connection Show. Please visit our website, thehumananimalconnection.org. There you can sign up for our free email newsletter, book a consultation, or check out our blogs and resources. Our best-selling book, The Human Animal Connection, is available on Amazon, and your donation of any amount keeps our nonprofit organization providing life-changing services. You can reach Michael Overly, author of Let Your Dog Lead, Musings on How to Create an Exceptional Life, on his website at dogsandmen.com, or email michael@dogsandmen.com.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.